This is Rockslapping Champions. Player 1, playing Stukov. We have Nova. And player 2, playing Raynor. We have Phoenix. My, do we have some sort of an identity crisis going on over here? It's actually really difficult. A number of times I had to restart this cast because I thought one player was playing Nova is just way too many that I'm willing to admit. But let's have a look at the masteries while the players get set up. Stukov is a level 44 Ascension level commander, 15 points into the Infested structure cooldown, 15 points in the Apocalypse cooldown, and 14 points into the Mech attack speed mastery here. And he's picked the Frightful Fletch Welder Prestige. For Raynor, we have 25 points into the research cost reduction, 25 points into the Banshee airstrike cooldown mastery, and then also 24 points into the Mech attack speed mastery with no prestige selected. And now Raynor is going to put down his first bunker to defend against the wave of outbreak over here. And interestingly enough, that Raynor has chosen to put the bunker on the low ground instead of the high ground. And I'm not really sure why that was selected, why that strategy was selected. The bunkers have the advantage of the high ground vision, and the enemy units that are pushing in will have the disadvantage of the low ground vision. So there's usually no reason to have the bunker on the low ground when you can just put them up easily on top of the ramp. But you will notice that we have a set of mutators active. This set of mutators is the Train of the Dead mutation. So the 3 mutators active that we have are Darkness, which basically blacks out your minimap. You won't be able to see attack wave ping markers. You will not be able to see objective ping markers. We have Outbreak, which will spawn enemy infested units from around enemy structures on the map. And we will also have Walking Infested, which is whenever you kill an enemy unit, it will spawn a set of Infested based on its supply cost. So this mutation is not really too difficult, reasonably straightforward. Stukov, you can see, is already putting down the second factory and is already going for the Diamondback build here. Now, one thing I would have liked to see Stukov do is actually put down an early command center instead of rushing out that second factory. That second factory really does not provide that much advantage for Stukov because it doesn't really have the resources to invest into that second factory's production that it'll allow him to unlock. So usually you'd want to put down a preliminary command center right next to the rocks and then use the Diamondback here to clear the rocks while the command center is being built. But Raynor uses his Banshee airstrike now to try and clear his expansion, and maybe even clear out his allies' expansion. And there is a random infested unit over here that is making its way through the SCV joining in on the fight as well, which is really interesting. But the SCV does end up surviving, and this Banshee airstrike will clear the first set of gas rocks over here. And now we have an Apocalypse that has been used to try and deal with its first attack wave. First attack wave has spawned at 4-minute mark, but as you can see, no ping marker available on the map unless you have direct vision of the attack wave. So you have to be aware where the attack wave will be coming in and where it will not be coming in. So Stukov is going to be putting down, interestingly enough, a command center where his allies where his ally cleared, and then Raynor will be putting down the command center over there. I guess that's okay, but usually you want to let your ally take the expansion that they clear unless they specifically specify otherwise. Apocalypse gets moved forward now to try and deal with the train escort here. The Apocalypse will be able to clear some of this train escort, but I don't know if it'll clear it out completely before it ends up timing out. And that is the Apocalypse cleared. And now we have 3 Diamondbacks that are ready to try and deal with this first train. And we have the Hyperion now that gets used, and the Hyperion will be clearing this train out. And the Hyperion's actually not moving, which is something unfortunate. Yamato Cannon right on top of the train, which is okay. But again, Yamato Cannon is good, but Hyperion moving is even better. Make sure you keep your Hyperion moving for the extra damage output. Hyperion now is not really going to be doing anything. Diamondbacks are going to be kiting the way on. They're going to be cutting away on some of these infested. Where are these infested units going? I think they might have been aggro to the point defense drone here, and now the Hyperion does get tactically jumped over to try and deal with the stack wave, and the stack wave will be okay. We have a few siege tanks that will be defending against the onslaught of roaches, and hopefully I think there will be more added to the mix here eventually as the course of the mission continues. The one thing I've noticed about Stukov as well is that there are no static defenses here on the high ground, and this is going to be very problematic for Stukov. Like, Stukov can hold temporarily with a few Diamondbacks on the high ground, which is what he's able to do right now, because Infested can't even come near the Diamondbacks before they end up getting killed off by the spew of acid here. But as the mission progresses, his Diamondbacks are not going to be able to hold, and he's going to need some bunkers, and he's going to need some siege tanks so that he can actually deal with this. So Diamondbacks again going to be kiting in a few more units, and I think that one Diamondback may end up getting killed off if it's not being microed. Nope, that Diamondback does end up surviving, clearing out that next Overseer. Next train is on the way. We already have 5 siege tanks on the way here, and these siege tanks should be able to hold pretty much indefinitely. A few more bunkers as well along the way, and still no full saturation here for Raynor. And over here, Raynor is... he's going for his gases right now. Doesn't seem to be interested in taking his minerals. And that one SCV, that is actually kind of funny. That SCV wants to repair, and every single time it wants to go back, the SCV comes out and gets pulled back. That is really, really funny. That is so funny. But yeah, we have 5 siege tanks, or we have 6 siege tanks now along the way here, and now these Diamondbacks will have to poke in a little bit to try and deal with this next train that's coming down here. And we have already the 2 upgrades. We have the Caustic Mucus, and we also have the Saturated Cultures upgrade, which is going to be really good. Unfortunately, the Saturated Cultures are not going to provide as much value for Stukov because there are no tuna fish hybrids on this map, and additionally, this is a ground-based composition, so he's not going to really get that much value. But the Caustic Mucus is actually really good. That allows him to create that little bit of a sludge behind him, and that is really amazing when he's dealing with a ground-based composition here. He's going to start attacking this train right now. Over here, we have a Banshee airstrike that gets used to handle the infested units that have spawned from some of the escort wave death. And yeah, we have enough static defense here to be able to handle this reasonably well. We have also noticed that Stukov has gone for the armor upgrades, which is probably not very ideal against this composition anyway. He's not really going to be able to increase the life of his army. I always say this as well. Do not go for your armor upgrades unless there is really a lot of value to be gained, which is basically when you're not getting when you're getting something else in addition to your armor upgrades. But the Banshee airstrike is able to clear that train. Banshee airstrike also gets moved forward here just to get a little bit more value, which is, you know, it doesn't really hurt. Doesn't really need anything very much anyway. And now whatever is left of this attack wave is going to be jumping in right into the shelling of siege tanks, infest structure onto this bunker here. And I think as soon as these infested broodlings get cleared out, these things are going to get completely shredded by the attack wave. So far, no armory for Raynor, and he is not producing anything else. He has a tech lab on the starport, and he's building a set of missile turrets. And those missile turrets, unfortunately, are a little bit too far behind. If he wants to be able to deal with lurkers, he will need these missile turrets moved a little bit forward near his bunker line. But that does not seem to be what his plan is. And he also has way too many missile turrets, so I'm not really sure what his plan is over there. Next train has spawned, and again, I'm going to draw your attention to this again. Still no static defense here for Stukov, and no static defense. Well, there's a little bit of static. Well, there's a lot of static defense here for Raynor, but nothing here on the high ground. And those Diamondbacks are not going to be able to hold. And now Raynor has used his Hyperion to try and deal with his 3rd train, and this is a huge mistake because the 3rd train is, you know, it is a little bit more difficult than the 2nd train, but the 4th train is so much more deadly, and you really need to save your most powerful cooldowns for dealing with the escort wave here. So he's using the Hyperion here, and his Stukov ally pretty much has this thing covered, and he doesn't really need any assistance from his Raynor ally at all because his Diamondbacks are going to be able to cut through this train very, very quickly. So this is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very difficult now to handle because Raynor has lost pretty much all ways of dealing with the first double train wave. And I think Raynor will be able to clear the 2nd train. Now he has his Hyperion again. Hyperion not moving, not getting the damage yet, but and I think, yeah, this will pretty much end up going down as well. But these bunkers, I've also noticed, the bunkers are here, but they're not actually filled with Marines as well, and Raynor is not really producing anything. He has put down 3 starports, and those of you guys who know what is going on will probably realize what is coming up. We have the weapon refit upgrade coming up for Raynor, which means we have the legendary battlecruiser build. So this, as you can see, both these players are sitting on a powdered keg, and Raynor has started to light up some matches to light up his cigar right on top of that powder keg, and bad things are going to happen right now. We have the Alexander that gets used over here. I'm not really sure I agree with that either. The Alexander is going to be a little bit useful for dealing with this attack wave. But unfortunately, detection for Stukov gets picked up, and more detection gets made here. Stukov will be able to clear out the lurkers over here. And what should happen right now is, because there's this big massive attack wave, or this massive escort wave that's coming up, Stukov should be moving this Alexander up forward over here to try and meet up with this thing, because as soon as the Alexander crashes, it's going to be able to wipe out pretty much the entirety of the escort wave. And you can see Stukov did start to move this a little bit, but it was a little bit too late, and now you can see just how massive this thing is, and you're wondering now why it would be a good idea to move the Alexander forward. This is exactly why. Now, very nice funnel, very nice choke point that was created. I'm not really sure if that was intentional by Stukov, but that choke point is causing a little bit of havoc for the enemy AI. It's not able to navigate around this Diamondback and the sludge, dealing also a lot of extra damage here. Raynor, or Stukov, trying to cut this back, but this is, as I said, the double train wave. So where is the other train wave? Here is the other train wave coming up, and there is just an absolute bulldozer of an army coming up. Lots of Ultralists on the front line, tanking all the siege tank fire, and there are Ravagers on the back line as well. Raynor tries to drop in the Banshee airstrike, but that Banshee airstrike is not going to really do very much, and he has dropped his first set of 3 battlecruisers down to try and handle this attack wave. He does have Yamato cannon onto these battlecruisers as well, so this should not... They should be able to provide some of the burst damage, but this is pretty much the end of Raynor's static defense. All his bunkers are gone, all his siege tanks are gone, and now Raynor has to try and deal with the strain wave by himself. Stukov is still like in a little bit of trouble because there's a lot of Infested coming up right now, and like I said, without any static defense, this Outbreak Mutator is going to be absolutely deadly, not even counting the walking Infested Mutator that spawns a lot of Infested when you kill off the trains, but you can see Stukov is slowly handling this. There is, I think, also some semblance of, yeah, there's an attack wave over here, so Stukov kind of has his hands tied, and Stukov over here also trying to deal with this train. I think they did manage to, did they manage to clear this train? I think they did manage to clear this train. Let us have a look. Yes, so they did manage to clear the train. The next train has spawned and is on the way, which is also really nice. And there are a few lurkers here that are causing some problems. Again, Stukov has lost his detection. He will need to make a little bit more detection or move his army right over the lurkers, which might not be too wise, but he has managed to do so. What are the units lost so far? We have 30 Diamondbacks gone. 1 battlecruiser has died somewhere on those 6 siege tanks over there at the start, and now Raynor has realized he should have probably put his bunker on the high ground. Does try to save this, but these battlecruisers are not going to provide as much value as a regular bio army here. He needs to have some more kind of splash damage, and he does not have any siege tanks to help him here. Stukov has to try and deal with the next raiding wave by himself. Another Banshee airstrike gets used on some of the Infested units over here, which is really interesting. And Raynor is going for, again, triple battlecruiser, 1 attack upgrade, and 1 armor upgrade. In this case, the armor upgrades are not really that bad because Raynor is getting the HP for his armor upgrades. Stukov trying to cut back, trying to dodge these vials, does really nice dodges on those vials, but again, he still has to try and deal with this train, but the train is on the low ground here, and Raynor has jumped on top of this train, and he'll be able to deal with this train without really any problems. Still getting harassed by some of the escort up here with Stukov, and the slugfest is only starting to begin.
Our allies are being attacked.
Hyperion over here will be able to do a little bit of damage here, and now Stukov has also jumped into the fray to try and deal some more damage to the strain. And actually, you know what might be interesting? It might be interesting to see the unit kill count here for... So this is the train damage. So far, Raynor has dealt more train damage than Stukov ally. Stukov has killed about double the number of units as his Raynor ally here. His Diamondbacks got a lot of good value for Infested units that are being killed off here. So this is going to be a pretty high kill count. Infestors in the front line spazzing out, dealing a little bit of damage to Raynor's army, and now the rest of Raynor's army is in. There's a tactical jump, and Raynor tactical jumps a few feet forward. Alexander gets used right now to try and stem off this attack wave and to try and prevent the damage to the main base, which seems to be okay, seems to be holding over here. Raynor, unfortunately, is losing his first starport, and I think his second starport will also be going down. Very nice liftoff here on the starport to try and keep it alive, but it does mean that the enemy units will start to re-aggro Raynor's base, and Raynor will be taking a lot of terrible damage here. And now Banshee airstrike goes up, splash attack kills off the infested units, and now the Ultralisk also gets picked off here, and now the tables are starting to turn. Some more infested units are starting to aggro here. Some of these SCVs are repairing the command center, which is okay. But remember, Now, the aberrations are going to start spawning, and this is when bad stuff is going to start happening, because this is going to be an absolute slugfest. The second train, again, some of these Diamondbacks do get caught out by the Infestor, and the Infestor's fungal growth is causing a few problems for Stukov's army. We have some Valkyries on the back line here. These Hybrids have actually aggroed the barracks over here, which is actually an interesting decision here by Stukov. It is creating a choke point here, allowing Stukov to deal a little bit of damage. Some very nice move here from Stukov, knowing that it does tank a good amount of damage if you're using that barracks here. And Stukov will be able to clear out this next train without any problems, but there are a few more ping markers, and now the aberrations have started to spawn. And again, one siege tank ends up going down, and this other train wave has nothing over here. One more battlecruiser tries to get the Yamato cannon off, but ends up getting picked up by the Hydralisks on the attack wave, or on the escort wave here, and these trains are starting to get away from these commanders, and there is a huge stream of Infested that have spawned from that train. They will start aggroing Stukov's base. Unfortunately, Stukov picked the base that gets aggroed a lot by the Infested units on this mission. Also gets aggroed by a lot of the random hybrids that end up spawning here, but that train has gone down. Over here, Stukov has sent a few of the Diamondbacks to handle this, and now there is an attack wave right on top, and that Raynor's battlecruisers do end up getting killed off as well. Raynor has lost 6 battlecruisers so far, and now Stukov has nothing to handle with this attack wave, but he brings up his entire army. Some of them do end up getting fungal growth by the Infestor on the back line, and over here now, Stukov has to try and draw aggro away from this attack wave, away from his base, and try and get into position here. And now this next train wave has started to spawn. Again, Stukov has no defenses, Raynor has no defenses. There is a random Ultralisk here with a few Hydralisks, and these aberrations now are right on top of Stukov's base. Stukov is going to be losing his expansion very, very soon, and this is going to be a really bad play now. What are they going to do? Are they going to try and save their expansion? They're not going to try and save their expansion. Raynor tries to tactical jump his battlecruiser across, but what is he going to Yamato cannon? There's really nothing much here. He's trying to save his base, but this is the last train wave, so I think Stukov has the right play here. He needs to go for the... He needs to try and hit this train before like the next attack wave comes up. And yeah, you can see Stukov is pinging over here. He knows that he has to go and try and take out this train because there's nothing they can do against this attack wave. Aberrations are just chilling over here, and Raynor's base is going to end up burning down. And it's going to be only a matter of time before the rest of these units are going to re-aggro and re-target the main player bases here. Stukov, unfortunately, is being zoned out by the escort wave, which is what their job is, and it is going to be now an absolute slugfest, because right now the attack wave jumps right on top of Raynor's battlecruisers. Hydralisks on the back line. All of Raynor's battlecruisers are gone down. There's one more battlecruiser left. Hyperion tries to get used, and the Hyperion does get a Yamato cannon off, but the rest of Raynor's army is completely wrecked here. And there 13 battlecruisers have gone. Raynor has nothing left, and Stukov has to try and take out this train completely by himself. This is going to be a very high-octane game. Let us have a look at how many structures are left. You can see this is the structures owned. If there are no more structures left on the map, this is going to be game over. So these commanders are actually close to losing the game. These infested units are right on top of the supply depots. All these supply depots are going down, and Stukov and this train is about 50% HP. Raynor still has a command center over here, but this command center is not being repaired. He's just trying to re-mine on this command center, and this command center will end up going down as well. There is a factory over here as well that is trying to just move out of the way here. One floated command center, and Stukov is trying to just focus down this train. Apocalypse Alexander has used Banshee airstrike as well, just trying to focus down this one train. This one factory over here taking a beating as well. Are they going to get it? This train is so low, and finally the train goes down, and not a moment too soon, because this factory is also going to end up getting killed off, and all that is left on the map is one orbital command center and one factory, pretty much as close as you can get to losing the game. But those are all the trains gone, and that is GG.